Okay, this video has been one of the tougher videos to get off the ground, but we're going to do it. So anyway, today's video is about why concert photographers, some, not all, concert photographers use high ISO, what are its benefits and why do they do it, and what are the repercussions for them doing so. I'm Robert Maxfield. I'm a concert photographer in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. I've been shooting music since 1977. And welcome to our channel where we cover some of the things in concert music photography that no one else does. You'll see it right here. So the topic of today's concert video, how-to video, is why do concert photographers, some, not all, insist on using high ISO? Well, in our last video, this is the second part of this video series. The first part was why do they insist on using wide-angle lens. This works in conjunction with that. So why do they use high ISO? Well, first of all, ISO is the sensitivity of your sensor to light. The higher the number, the more sensitive the sensor is to light. So if you, the easy way to think about it is if you ever had a car stereo and cheap speakers and you turn the volume up, and well, you turn the volume to normal, and then all of a sudden, well, low. If you turn to low and listen to the music, and you get that really cool song comes on, you turn up the volume, you're rocking out, going down the road, and all of a sudden you hear crackle and all this noise. That's the same thing as what would happen is if you take and boost the ISO on your sensor. What you're going to get is you're going to get grain or noise or fuzz, or it'll blurry, it won't look good. That's one of the disadvantages to using high ISO when you're shooting concerts in low light. The big advantage is it does allow you to raise the shutter speed so that it takes care of some problems there. It also allows you to close down your aperture so you get more depth of field. So knowing all that, it allows you to be a little more, it allows itself to be a little more forgiving if you do not have good or solid technique when shooting concerts, knowing how to hold your camera, knowing what you're doing, how to breathe, that kind of thing, in an environment that is very dynamic. Using a high ISO and allowing you to get higher shutter speeds keeps you from having blurry pictures and that kind of thing. It doesn't mean it's going to be great pictures, but it does stop some of that problem. So, what are some of the other issues in using the high ISO? Well, the first thing that people do is a lot of people are in love with this wide angle look of concerts where they have people, they're showing multiple people in the band and they're showing what's going on stage, as opposed to shooting the artist or a band member by themselves or in twos or threes or kind of. It allows you to see more of the whole atmosphere, what's going on. But what they use is they use what's called matrix or evaluative metering, where that takes and that meters the entire scene that you can see through the viewfinder, everything, and then it takes certain positions on that screen and it takes and averages them out to get itself to as close to what it considers a perfect type of medium gray. If you were shooting black and white film, it'd be like 18%, but it tries to balance your exposure. Problem with that is you got a very dynamic kind of atmosphere that you're working and you're shooting. You got strobe lights, lasers, smoke, flash bombs, pyrotechnics. You got all this other stuff going on, and what you have to do is account for that. Well, in the meantime, your meter's going up and down, 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 and then you're trying to adjust your shutter speed and your f-stop because it's changing the ISO and the sensitivity of your sensor. It's causing all the other things in your exposure to kind of go a little bit wonky. So if you've seen photographs that have people that their faces are in shadows and the background's lit up, or things like that, or you'll have bright spots and various other things. A lot of that is caused by the photographer using evaluative, or they're using the default metering in which their camera came in the box and was set up. It's that metering is set up so that if you go outside and take pictures of your backyard, that's the same metering you would use. Not what you need to use in a dynamic concert environment. If you want to get the proper kind of exposure on a face or something like that, what you need to do is use something like spot or center weighted metering, where you can put the spot or the center weight on the subject's face and expose for their face, and then let the rest of the scene take and adjust itself. That way you know that you're getting the subject, the main subject you want, in an icon case, the focus point's attached to that, and your proper metering is attached to that, so you're getting your proper readouts for exposure for your subject. So pretty much that's the reason why people use it. It allows you to have sloppier technique or not be as precise or whatever. It's easier to do, however you want to describe it. It don't matter to me. But what happens is it takes less skill to actually operate a camera if you don't know how to hold it and you don't know how to breathe, by simply raising your shutter speed and closing down your aperture. It cures a lot of that problem. So that's one of the things, and that may sound cruel or ruthless or whatever, or not insensitive in my case, but it's the truth. Okay, if you have poor technique, it will show at lower shutter speeds and wider openings. So that's a pretty big deal. But also what happens is it allows, if you go to a larger lens, a longer lens, a 7200, an 8200, a 300 2.8, a 400 f4, something like that, it's going to be more pronounced. So if your technique is not as good and you don't know how to handle a camera correctly by holding it and breathing correctly, it's going to cause your pictures to come out blurry. So thus, in that case, you would want to boost your ASA ISO into a point where it gives you a higher shutter speed, and it gives you a smaller aperture, so you get a little bit of more depth of field, and that cures some of those issues. Another thing that cures some of that issues is you'll hear the term IBIS, or in-body image stabilization, or lens stabilization. Okay, that literally cures some of the problems with people's bad technique. Is the fact is, inside the camera, when you move it up and down, the sensor and the film plane actually moves and adjusts, and the lens adjusts for your breathing and moving. I can't even talk. And you're moving, so that cures part of that issue. So if you want to know why people use the high ISOs, and the reason is it gives you faster shutter speed, lets you use smaller openings, and you don't have to be as neat. And also, if your subject is moving around quite a bit, okay, it gives you the ability to stop that action. So if say you're shooting a punk band and they got a mosh pit and they're throwing people around and people are jumping around, you'd have to use something like that in order to keep enough shutter speed to keep them frozen. Otherwise, you've got a lot of blurs and problems of that kind of nature and sort. So consider that when you're using high ISO. Remember, your picture quality goes down. It becomes noisier and grainier or muddier. If you're using the evaluative or matrix metering instead of spot, it's going to meter the whole entire thing, and thus you're going to have lighting issues with faces and other problems. So that's some of the things you need to be aware of, at least starting out. That you'll see a lot of people say, oh, you got to have 15200 ISO. No, you don't. But the better your quality of camera workmanship, the better you are at handling your camera, the better your technique, the easier it is to deal with. So that's pretty much the main point of today's video. Is that's why people use the wide ISO. I mean the high ISO and the wide lenses. This is the second part of that series I was promising on wide angles, why people use wide angle lenses um, and high ISO when shooting in clubs. It's more forgiving. It allows you to not be as precise, and it's just easier. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, confusions, anything of that kind of sort, man, please send us some comments in the comments. We'd love to see them. We respond to all those things we get that we can at least find. Sometimes I don't find some for a few days. But anyway, we'd like to ask that you like and subscribe to our channel. Our channel, I say this every week, our channel is growing, and that's a good thing. We enjoy bringing you videos about concert photography, especially this kind of subject matter which nobody else is going to talk to you about. Nobody's going to give you any information about this kind of thing. So we appreciate it, and thanks for viewing, and we'll see you probably next week. All right, bye.